Hey, what's up, everybody? Chicago Goonie here, bringing another Arsenal talk. In this Arsenal talk, I'm going to be talking about a few things. I'm going to be talking about the bomb that was dropped today or yesterday, Raheem Sterling, and then also talking a little bit about Lacazette and Fekir from Lyon. First and foremost, talking about the stupidity of Cesc Fabregas today, or yesterday. I keep saying today, but in the West Brom game, the how Diego Costa wasn't sent off for an elbow. It's beyond me. I hope they review that and they take a look at that because the guy is just the guy's a head case. All you have to do is push him a little bit, and he's just gonna fly off the edge. And this says Fabregas. He's probably about like 20 yards away, and he just on a rope slingshots it right off of Brun's head. It was just completely hilarious. I mean, it didn't have anything to do with us, but I mean it was just hilarious. And then he gets sent off, but it wasn't something like it was a chip into the box or anything like that. It was just on a rope. He just pinged it right off his head. It was just fucking hilarious. The funny thing about that is straight red card, so he's gonna miss the last game of the season and possibly the first two games of the next season of the 15-16 season. Uh, and of course, Thierry Henry's assist record for a single season stays intact. So I guess there's good news on that, but just the whole ordeal and the way Diego Costa handles himself and it was just hilarious, the whole thing. But going into basically the news, like I said, the bomb that was dropped by Raheem Sterling was that he wants to leave Liverpool this summer. Um, Liverpool offered him £100,000 a week for a 20-year-old kid who has not even reached his full potential yet. That's a lot of money. Um, in his interview during, I believe it was the holiday season, where he was talking about his contract and where he was talking about Liverpool, and he said it wasn't about the money. I'm sorry on this case. I mean, I kind of believe him that it isn't about the money. Turning down £100,000 a week, especially being 20 years old. I think right now he's on £35,000 a week. Is what his contract is up until 2017 when it runs out for Liverpool. Again, that's a lot of money. And we all know how the world of football works. We all know how contracts work. You can sign one deal. I mean, I believe Harry Kane has signed something like two different contracts this year alone with Tottenham. And again, the world of football, how it works. I mean, he can sign for £100,000 a week and have a breakout season, much like he did last season, where I believe he scored something around 14 goals. I believe in all competitions this year he only has 9 goals, which I think he's the second leading scorer on Liverpool, which is pretty sad. Um, but you can have a breakout season where he can score 20 plus goals, say next season, and he can come back right to Liverpool and say, you know what, I want more money. That's just how contracts work. That's how the world of football works. Look at Aaron Ramsey. I mean, he signed a new contract with Arsenal, I believe in 12, and then he got a new contract after last season to get more money. So I mean, the ability to make more money and to get new contracts I mean, it's nonstop. You can sign a new contract almost every single year if you keep on producing. So in this case, when he says it's not about the money, I really think it's not about the money. Yes, his agent is really influencing him, obviously. But again, you really have to look at things. If it is not about the money, £100,000 a week at Liverpool, he'd probably be the highest paid player, or close to it at least. I have no idea what Balotelli makes. I'm sure he makes quite a few coin. Same with Sturridge, because he signed a new contract, I believe, as well with Liverpool after last season. So something else has to be going on, obviously, at Liverpool to where he's just not happy. I mean, if you look at the whole makeup of Liverpool, um, in general, it just doesn't. It's not good. It doesn't even look good on paper, even from afar. You look at this past summer to where Alexis Sanchez chose Arsenal over Liverpool. You saw the biter Luis Suarez leave in the summertime for a huge deal, and they spent all that money on pretty much dog shit. Spending 25 million or whatever, 26 million on Lallana, spending 20 million on Lovren. The list goes on. They brought in something like 7, 8 players, and none of them really produced for Liverpool this year. Also, Liverpool, for whatever fucking reason, they have a transfer committee where this transfer committee does all the basically like the legwork of transfers and who they want to bring in, and how much money they want to pay for his transfer, and how much money they want to pay for him overall as far as wages go, which seems a little odd to me, to where the manager has little to no power of who comes in and who doesn't. Usually the standard of a football club is you have a sporting director, and then the sporting director works with the manager. Usually the manager maybe hands a list of players to the sporting director and say, this is who I want, and so on and so forth, and then the sporting director goes out and tries to purchase these players. Even the sporting director makes recommendations of certain players and asks the manager, does this player work within your system? With Liverpool, it's a completely different story. From reading reports, it only seems like Brendan Rodgers only has like 20 or 30% control of what transfers come in and out of the club, which is next to nothing. I mean, he's basically, he's dealt his hand of cards and he has to deal with them. There's no other way around it, which is unfortunate. That means, Brendan Rodgers is never going to have the team that he exactly wants at Liverpool, or the type of players that he really wants. He's just kind of forced into it. But at the same time, Brendan Rodgers, the manager, he's not as good as everybody makes him out to be. He's not the tactician that everybody makes him out to be. Let's go back to Raheem Sterling. And like I said in my winners and midfielders episode of my transfer window, my early transfer window kind of like review, Raheem Sterling has played just about every single position except for his natural position, which is a left wing. That's where he played all of the 13 and 14 season. That's where he played most of his time in the national team. But this season, he really hasn't played there much at all. The only time he has played there, I believe, is when the formation was correct. Obviously, if they're playing with a back four, but most of the season they played with a back three, to where they have wing backs. Most of the season he played as a striker. There's point in times when he played as a right wing back. There's point in times when he played as a left wing back. He's not any of those. He's not even a striker. And you got to look at him when he was a striker during the season. At one point, did he ever look dangerous at all? Yeah, his pace is dangerous. His on the ball skills are sometimes dangerous. He's very good on the ball. But again, when you look at him, running as a striker, there's been so many pundits who have broken down Sterling's play as a striker, and how he doesn't make the correct runs, and how he doesn't have the correct positioning when he is a striker. And is that really his fault? I mean, if he's making the same mistakes week after week, time after time, doesn't that go on the manager? Doesn't that go on to the coaching staff alone? What kind of, they're not setting him up to succeed, especially if you keep on making the same mistakes and they keep on pushing him out as a striker. So if you're looking at all these kind of ugly marks against Liverpool, I would kind of want to leave too. I mean, you're looking at the side, you're looking at the players they brought in. He's a 20-year-old kid, and he's basically like the best player on the team as a 20-year-old. And And of course, like I said, the players that they brought in didn't really do anything this season. Lallana was hurt most of the season. Lovren was just ass. Um, they were playing with a back three the entire time. Defensively, Liverpool was kind of like a shit show this season. Especially when they came up against the big sides like Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Manchester United. I mean, even Manchester United broke them down and made them look stupid at Anfield. Even when they played at Old Trafford too, and he's probably looking at this. Maybe he's just not happy. He came over. Liverpool bought him from QPR, which is a London club. So you never know. He might just not be happy. He maybe looks at the makeup of the club. They're looking at, maybe he's looking at Liverpool like, Jesus, they just sold off our best player that we've had in years, and they just sold him off with no type of fight whatsoever. Yeah, the biter had some baggage, obviously, biting people and making himself look like an idiot on the pitch, even off the pitch sometimes with some of his comments. But maybe Sterling's looking at this and thinking, what, this club has no ambition. It's funny at the same time. For years, Liverpool fans, Manchester United fans were giving us shit every year because we were selling off our best players. It didn't look like Arsenal really had any type of ambition just because we were trying to pay off the Emirates. And now, like karma's kind of a bitch. Karma's kind of coming back and biting Liverpool in the ass. And now their fans they know what it feels like. They know what it feels like when they're going to be losing their best players year after year. And you go back to the time like during, the holiday season when that interview came out with Sterling about his contract and about his life at Liverpool and stuff like that. I mean, he just got shelled by the Liverpool fans on Instagram, on Twitter. It's the same thing yesterday. You just look up Raheem Sterling and you look at it like all the tweets, and I mean, it's amazing how one day your fans are cheering for you and the next day they just hate you. It really is kind of sad. At the same time, you have to blame Sterling for this. He should have waited until the end of the season. This was probably the wrong time to come out with this. They still have one more game. They still have one more game. Luckily, it's an away game, because if they played at Anfield for their last game of the season, I mean, it would be holy terror for him. But he still has to face the away fans, and how are they going to treat him this coming Sunday? Is Brendan Rodgers even going to bother putting him inside? Is he even going to bother putting him, on the travel squad for their last game of the season? Just to protect him, I would probably tell him to just stay home, to be honest with you, because the onslaught he's getting on Twitter, Instagram probably again, Facebook. I mean, you name it. Some of the tweets that I read are just, they are disgusting, for the most part. Rather than just looking at this as a football story, people are taking it to a whole nother level of, racism and stuff like that. And, it is disgusting to see that type of stuff. Rather that, even if you're an Arsenal fan or a Liverpool fan or a Man U fan, it doesn't matter, to bring those kind of cards out on the table, or it is disgusting. And on that side of the deal, I really feel sorry for the kid. Overall, I just feel sorry for him in general, because we had to deal with that this season. We're still dealing with that this season. We take one of the best number 10s in the world and we play him on the left wing. We're taking a potential world-class CM in Aaron Ramsey and playing him on the right. Again, it's square peg, round hole. It's not, Aaron Ramsey will never become a world-class CM if you keep on playing him out of position. Same with Raheem Sterling. He'll never be the player he can be if you keep on pushing him to play different positions. And like I said, he's not a striker. He's not a left wing back or right wing back. He's a left winger, and that's it. Leave him there and let him reach his full potential. This isn't youth academy stuff. This is under 19 stuff. Even if you reach the under 19s, under 21s, you have your designated position already. There's not going to be too much flip flop between is this kid a winger? Is he a fullback? Is he a midfielder? Is he a striker? Usually you find those things out in the youth academy or even younger. And on that case too, I feel sorry for Sterling that he has to deal with this type of stuff, because honestly, I don't think Brendan Rodgers is that great of a manager, not to what everybody is really making him out to be. Luis Suarez made everybody look great on Liverpool in the 13-14 season, even prior to that. I mean, he made players look better than they are. If Liverpool was smart, they would probably just sell off Sterling, because honestly, I don't know if they can get any more money than they can from him now. But at the same time, teams can use that to their advantage. Well, he wants out, and I'm just gonna offer this. I heard as much as a 35-pound. They want 35 million pounds for him. That's ridiculous. No one's gonna pay that. Another ridiculous story that came out today was James Milner is going to be making somewhere around 165,000 pounds a week for Man City. Man City's going to offer him a $34 million 5-year contract, which is, that is within itself ridiculous. Man City is, I don't know what the fuck they're even thinking, offering that guy that type of money. They must be pretty desperate to keep him, just based on the fact of FFP. I know FFP is going to be lightened a little bit, I guess, supposedly by UEFA. But they must be pretty hard up to keep their homegrown players, to offer that guy who shouldn't even be making 6 figures a week. At most, I would pay someone like James Milner maybe 70 grand a week, maybe. He has no skill, he has no pace. He's a workhorse. He has a huge work rate, but that's it. For someone who doesn't have pace, who doesn't have this on the ball skills, you have to be a tryhard. You have to put all your effort, because you're not the athlete as maybe even a Raheem Sterling, to where Raheem Sterling has the pace, has the on the ball skills, is kind of BPL proven where he can score goals in the BPL. But James Milner for 165, that's crazy. So Man City's almost kind of driving up the prices on people for the sake of driving them up, I think. And I think it's just bad business on their part. Why not take the 34 million pounds and instead of paying James Milner that, give Liverpool 34 million pounds for the transfer fee, and then pay Sterling then the 100,000 pounds a week. Because if you really look at it, obviously he's going to want Champions League football. He said he wants to win trophies. Well, there's only going to be maybe 4 or 5 clubs that are going to be able to do that in the BPL. Manchester United is not going to need a winger. They already have Di Maria. Depay's coming in. Who knows what's going to happen during the transfer window. They might even get Bale in. So he's not going to go to Manchester United. Chelsea has a ton of winners, but they might need a homegrown player to come in, because they don't have many at all either, especially on their active roster, unless they just throw in a youth academy, kind of like we do with Gideon Zelalem and Serge Gnabry, to kind of put that into the first team, just because then we can prove that we have homegrown players. But we have enough of them in the roster alone, with all the British players, and of course Aaron Ramsey being Wales. We have enough of those homegrown players just in our active roster to qualify for FFP. But again, Chelsea has a lot of winners. So there's only really maybe 2 clubs, at least in the BPL, that he would go to One would be Man City, because Man City is in desperation of winners. They have literally no winners on that team. Jesus Navas went backwards this season. He had a decent first season with City, but this year he sucked ass the entire season, in my opinion. Of course, they have James Milner. That's about it as far as their winners go. I mean, they still have Nasri playing as a winner when he's more of a midfielder. And sometimes they have even David Silva playing as a winner sometimes, just because they just don't have any. So if any team is in desperation of winners, it's Man City. But again, if Raheem Sterling's not happy in Liverpool, why is he going to be happy in Manchester, which is the same type of area? That doesn't make any sense either. But again, if he wants to win trophies, if he wants to go to a bigger club who has the ability to win trophies, who's going to, spend the money and get players in to win trophies, the right type of players, obviously, yeah, Man City would make sense. And of course, like I said in my winners and midfielders when I was talking about Sterling, there's been reports that he's been trying to buy a house in London recently. So that puts Chelsea and, of course, Arsenal on watch for Raheem Sterling. The problem with us is, again, it was kind of odd today. Last week, I'll bring back the timeline here. Last week, Arsene Wenger came out and said, because someone asked him before in his press conference about the Manchester United game, about Theo Walcott's contract, and he said something to the effect that he doesn't want to miss Theo Walcott's golden years, which means his prime years, which is right now. Considering his age, he's in his prime. So Arsene Wenger said that. And of course, the Raheem Sterling stuff, drops today. And of course, Theo Walcott, there is a quote by him saying that there's nothing new on the contract front for him yet. Seems kind of odd. I would like to know who Sterling and Walcott's agent is. I don't know if they're the same agent. It'd be kind of interesting, because again, that's going to be one to watch. But if Arsene Wenger comes out and says he doesn't want to miss Theo Walcott's golden years, it's pretty obvious then that Wenger wants Theo to stay. So then with Raheem Sterling, I mean, number one thing, Arsenal's not going to pay, Arsene Wenger's not going to pay 35 million pounds for a 20-year-old who's not world class. That's just not going to happen, even in the BPL. Sterling being English, being in the BPL, yeah, the price goes up 5 to 10 million extra, just because you're switching from one BPL team to a next. And especially on top of that, if you are English, the price goes up even more. But at the same time, there's no way that Arsene Wenger is going to pay 30 to 35 million pounds for Raheem Sterling. There's just no way in hell. You put that in perspective, that's what Alexis Sanchez cost, was about 35 million pounds. There's no fucking way that he's going to pay for an undeveloped kid who has potential, who has great potential, but hasn't even realized his potential, hasn't even come close to realizing his potential yet. The most price tag I would put on a Raheem Sterling probably right now is 20, maybe 25 at the most. But even still, that's asking a lot. Yeah, he has great potential, but at the same time, he's already coming with baggage. The people up in Man City, they don't care about baggage. Obviously, they'll spend the money and they don't really care. That's their attitude. But as far as Arsenal goes, they don't want that type of baggage, because you don't know what he's going to do in 2 or 3 years. Because at Arsenal, we're kind of set in the winner department. We have Sanchez, Walcott, Welbeck, and the Ox. Podolski went on loan because there just wasn't any time for him. Joel Campbell, same thing, went to Villarreal to put on loan. So I can't. It's pretty tough for me to see that Raheem Sterling would be bought by Arsenal, just because of the fact that, yeah, if Theo Walcott is on his way out, which I highly doubt, then that would be the only reason that would make sense if Theo Walcott was on his way out, or if Arsene Wenger lost confidence in, say, the Ox, because the Ox just can't stay healthy. Again, this year a hamstring and a groin pull. Last year it was his knee and a hamstring. So he has constant injuries. Can he stay healthy? That would be the only reason. And plus, Sterling would probably most likely start on the bench. Is Sterling going to want to do that? Just by his interviews and what has been being said throughout this time, throughout these last like 6-7 months about his contract talks with Liverpool. I mean, this is like the second or third contract that he's turned down. He said he's gotten bullied to sign it, which is ridiculous. If that is even true, if Liverpool did try to bully him into signing the contract, I mean that's just bad business. No player should be ever bullied into signing a contract, especially by the club. What was said, who knows? Maybe all that stuff will come out, after he leaves the club. But again, the only team that really makes sense is Man City here. Unless he goes abroad. Last year, Zidane said that Sterling was one of the best young footballers in the world. That's a pretty strong statement coming from Zidane, and plus all the talks with a possible move to Real Madrid. But at Real Madrid, he would be sitting on the bench too. He wouldn't start over CR7. He wouldn't start over Bale. Even if they sold Bale off this summer, I would think that Jose Rodriguez would probably get the start on the right wing. Maybe even Isco. Maybe they slide James Rodriguez over to the right wing instead as well. I just can't see it happening. He would just sit on the bench. Maybe he would be a development type of thing, till after possibly CR7 leaves Real Madrid. But why would Real Madrid do that? I mean, they only deal with the top talent in the world, and Sterling's just not even there yet. So a lot of it doesn't make any sense. A lot of it just, it screams Man City, but at the same time, if he's not happy in Liverpool, especially with the area, why would he be happy in Manchester? I don't know. But it's one to watch, throughout the summer. It's going to be one to watch with Theo Walcott, what happens with him. Who knows? Maybe even Arsenal just says, "Fuck it, we'll take him for, if they're willing to part with him for like £20 million, why not? To get that kind of potential into the club and get more competition into the club. Maybe you realize, he's 20 years old. He still has a lot of years left. Maybe he doesn't feel that his potential can be reached at Liverpool, which I wouldn't blame him, just because of all the different position changes that he had during this year. On to a little bit more. Tell me what you guys think though about Raheem Sterling. Would you take him on Arsenal? Would he even start? Would he be on the bench? Who would you who would you let go? Because obviously you want to have at least 4 winners on the roster, just because of injuries, just because of rotation. Don't forget we have Serge Gnabry too, waiting in the wings as well. Joel Campbell is going to be coming back from loan. Who knows what's going to happen to him? He'll probably be moved this summer, or possibly even back on loan to a Premier League side. Another name too, Wellington Silva is going to be coming back on loan finally. He's been in La Liga for like the last 3 years, I believe, and he finally got his work permit. And he's kind of like a Sterling type. Has a lot of pace, has a lot of on-the-ball skill. Just his finishing and his passing is from what I hear, is not up to par. But at the same time, again, when you have a player that's the same type of caliber, why go out and buy another one? Just because he is just because he is English. I mean, maybe even Arsene Wenger's trying to complete the entire England national squad. I don't even know. As many English players as we do have, and many England national players that we do have on Arsenal. But yeah, tell me what you guys think. Is it even a possibility? Would you pay? There's no way anybody would agree to pay 30 to 35 million pounds for him. That's just ridiculous type of money to pay for him. But would you guys pay for him? Who would you let go? Let me know in the comments. On to something else that I said later on in my Manchester United review was Brian McDermott, Arsenal scout, went to the Lyon game on Sunday to scout Lacazette and Fekir, and there's one more player. But here's the thing that I have a problem with this is, why are we still scouting players at this stage? At this stage, we should already be talking to, at least be talking to the player's agent. I hope he wasn't there just to scout the players. I hope he was there to talk to the players' agents and try to feel them out and see if the player or the players are interested in moving on. There was another news article after late in the night saying that Lacazette feels like this is going to be his last season in Liga, last season with Lyon as well. So obviously there's takers. Obviously he's even ready to move on, and obviously there's plenty of clubs that are going to be interested in him. One, obviously, now that we know that a scout has gone to Lyon and to scout these players, we know that Arsenal is possibly interested. But again, sending the scout there again, that doesn't bode well with me. We should already, at the stage with the transfer window going to be opening in July. A lot of transfers happen right after the season ends, but they're just they're announced, the deals are signed, but they can't officially be part of a club until the transfer window officially opens. But with a big club like Arsenal, name any of the top clubs in the BPL, any of the top clubs in the world, as far as in Europe, at this stage, they should already be having a contract drawn up. They should already be talking to the club like Lyon and already figuring out a transfer fee by this stage. Because deals just don't happen like this. They just don't happen overnight. They should be already being talked about with the club, with the agent, with the player. How much does he want per week, with the length of the contract, everything like that. And it's kind of concerning of how the news article was written, that they were actually just there to watch them play. That's kind of concerning that Arsenal is this late to the party. Hopefully they're not. I really hope they're not. Because if they are, then who's really running our transfer scouting and our transfers just alone? I mean, we're almost kind of looking like Liverpool right now, that they have a stupid transfer committee, and people that are supposed to be in charge are not. So I don't know. I guess you could spin that in 5 different directions if you want to. Obviously, it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. But tell me what you guys think. Do you want Lacazette? Fekir would be awesome, especially if Santi Cazorla leaves the club. A lot of people thinking just because he has 1 year left on his contract, that he could be leaving the club. There was a lot of smoke with him possibly going to Atletico Madrid. There's some more smoke that Valencia might be interested in purchasing him. Same with Sevilla, and who else? I think that's it. Basically 2 Champions League clubs too. Atletico Madrid, if they need anything, they need a playmaker desperately on that club. They just don't have enough of them. Same with Valencia, I think. They could definitely use the services of a Santi Cazorla, and given the fact that Santi is 30, he'll be 31, I believe, next season. It's football, it's business. We might as well try to get something out of him. If he, Because what are we going to do? We're either going to give him a new contract. And again, being his age, if you sign him to another 2-year contract, he's going to be 32, 33 by the time he leaves the club. And, how much of a payback will you get from him? You won't get much at all. If you sell him off right now, you'll get at least a little something from him. Something to add to the transfer kitty, something to add to, buying some of the players that might be on our radar for this summer. So things are heating up. We still have about 2 weeks to go now for the last game of the season. Of course, the FA Cup final. Of course, we got Sutherland in a couple of days. So it's going to be interesting. Things are starting to heat up. Things are starting to, take shape a little bit for the transfer window. And again, I just hope our business gets done early because, I don't want to go through any more of these kind of long drawn out summers. Last summer was kind of perfect. Once the Puma deal finally got dropped, all of a sudden, boom, 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 player after player after player dropped, and it was great. It was great to see that we were getting our business done early for once. Hopefully it gets done early again for the second straight year, because drawing things out like this, it just, let's say we're going after Lacazette, and it takes the entire summer. Leon, it keeps on pushing up the price, especially if multiple teams are coming after him. Well, this team offered 40. Well, you're only offering 30, but this team is offering 40. I want at least 35. You don't want something like that happening. Yes, it's up to the player to where he wants to go, but at the same time, you want to get it done early so you can save as much money as possible too, for just in case. Look what happened last season. Giroud went down after the Everton game, and we were in panic buy, and of course we bought Danny Welbeck. But we need to get done early, so just in case we need to have another panic buy when the window slams shut, that we can have that opportunity to buy someone else just in case. So yeah, tell me what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys later.